Ja, weg in de room.
Hey guys,
Staat erop. Ja, maar staat niet.
it's being recorded now.
I know. Oh,
No, no,
I might want to erase that.
no.
Put that
No.
first part on there.
All right, so we have with us Daniel and Tony, both from Netherlands.
Yeah.
Right, Netherlands Microsoft.
Yeah.
All right, and this is the part of Techies IT Pro blog, IT Pro UAE-based community in Dubai, and I'm here to find out some things from these both of guys since they are in Malaysia and TechEd.
Yeah.
So it was not difficult to catch these guys. They're very cooperative. They made themselves available.
Yeah.
Thank you to you, both of you.
More than welcome. No
All
problem.
right. So tell us, Daniel. You work for Microsoft, so you work as an IT Pro Evangelist.
Yeah.
And so tell us, what's your scope of job, and how do you help the IT Pro, and how long you've been working and all that. Tell us something,
Yeah. Well, basically, within the Netherlands, we have two IT Pro Evangelists, me and Tony, of course.
All right.
Tony was the one who started first. I was already at Microsoft, but not as an employee. And then the other job role became available, and I wanted to have that job role, so I was lucky enough to have it, to get it. So I've been working at Microsoft for 3 years now. As an evangelist, we deliver technical presentations and demos on technical subjects, IT Pro related. So basically, we don't do anything with developer stuff. We don't do anything that's sales related. We don't go to customers, basically. We do large-scale events. We give presentations like over here, or do technical demos. And most of it is based on the latest technology, so like Windows Server 208, the new System Center products, virtualization, security, you name it, we try to do it. That's basically it.
All right. Sounds good. So what session have you been doing here?
Over here, because Tony was invited first to come over to Malaysia. I was opted in later, and all the slots were already given. So the only thing I could do was do the instructor-led labs. So over here, I'm doing 3 instructor-led labs. So I'm doing a lab. I did a lab on System Center Essentials. I did one lab on Windows Server 208 Server Core and read-only domain controllers. And this afternoon, I'm going to do a lab on the new managing technologies in Windows Server 208.
All right. So being an IT Pro, do you interact with any IT Pro community or user group in the Netherlands?
Yeah, I think we do. Maybe Tony can.
All right. So
Ask that
tell us,
question
Tony. Okay, we move
Yes,
to.
we have a very big user group in the Netherlands. It's called the Network Group Netherlands, NGN.
All right.
They have about 4,000 IT professionals in their network.
Only in the Netherlands, 4,000.
Yes,
Oh,
it's the first and the biggest community.
cool.
And so we work with them. We go to their events. We look at their and of course we do presentations there as well.
Yeah.
All right. So you support basically these user groups
Yes. Yeah.
to organize the events and.
Yeah, so for instance, last time we had Marcus Murray, a security expert from Sweden, over for a presentation in the Netherlands. And we worked with the NGN so that he could deliver a 2-day training for them as well. So they had basically attendees from their user group coming to Marcus Murray, which we of course brought into the Netherlands.
Yeah, so and the nice thing is because it's a network user group, it's not only like Microsoft technology they focus on.
All right.
So you also have the Novell guys over there and some other guys.
Third party. Don't tell any name again. Then Microsoft, maybe they don't like you too.
No, but no, it's,
Yeah.
it's really cool. Because
Yeah, user group are all about. If it's about network, then it
It's
can be of
network, any network,
any
yeah.
vendor. Yeah.
True.
And the neat thing is because we provide them with some technical sessions, and we also have an interaction with the other people you usually not see at your own events. So that's really
that's
added
good.
value for us.
All right.
And we brought the expos.
Yeah.
So Tony, what you are here? What topic you're speaking here in
Yes.
in TechEd?
So I'm speaking on Windows Vista here.
Right.
I have 2 sessions. One of them is called Windows Vista Demo Mania.
Right.
And it's basically a presentation that only has 1 slide that says demo.
Oh.
And the rest of the 75 minutes is demonstrations of everything in Windows Vista basically.
Live demonstration of Windows.
Only
Vista.
demonstrations, yeah. So I have The demonstrations are around 3 areas. The first demonstration is around what's interesting for everyone.
All right.
The second part is what's interesting for IT professionals, so I go in depth on the task manager and the event viewer, the task editor, all stuff like that. And the last part is, just for consumers, because in the end, of course, we also have our home situation where we have to defend our installation of Windows Vista on the home machine.
Right.
And these are the tips and tricks you can use.
All right.
Yeah, and the other session is around Windows Vista security.
Okay.
This is a session that goes into all the new and improved areas of Windows Vista security, and there are like 13 topics I cover on that.
13 topics.
Actually, I'm saying 14.
All right.
But there are 13, and that's not that lucky number. So I'm
13 security topics.
Yes.
Can you name any one of them? Few of them.
Sure. We talk about like memory randomization, BitLocker. We talk about
Service hardening. Service hardening bits.
service hardening, user account control, all the new and improved functionality in Windows Vista.
Right. So in Windows Vista, normally when we make any software installation or something like that, it prompts you want to perform this action or not.
Yeah.
When you say allow this option and it execute it. So for an end user perspective, if they allow this application, so I mean, how is it going to beneficial and how is it going to be more useful to them, because they don't know, they want to run their application and they will allow this prompt. So would you like highlight?
Referring to the user account control, I suppose. I mean.
This is specific for user account control. So about user account control main purpose is to make sure that applications run better in an enterprise. And the idea behind it is that if you run as an administrator, we actually take away some of the rights. So you have to click the allow button to elevate the rights back up.
All right.
But it allows you, for an enterprise, to get your users to run as a standard user instead of as administrator.
Even he is running as an administrator.
Yeah, it's basically about how can you make sure that normally in the past, if you were working as a local administrator on your machine, and everything you clicked on could be a risk, or maybe something in the back was running.
Absolutely.
And it could infect your system. And now at least you cannot infect the system. I mean, basically, to put it really blunt, I can go with my administrator account, because I'm running as a protected administrator, I can go to real not so nice internet sites without having the risk that I'm immediately being infected. That's basically it. Because if some script on that site tries to do something on my machine, I get a prompt saying, this site tries to run something on your machine and does need an elevated right. Do you want to access that or not?
All right.
Then you can say, but that's running as administrator. But I think the main purpose of user account control is to enable users to run as standard user instead of as administrator.
So
that's the main purpose.
In any case, it wouldn't be having a kernel mode level access. Normally, if I log into the machine with the user name of an administrator as a local administrator.
Yeah.
So if I'm infected, it can touch the kernel.
Yeah, but that's if I'm an administrator and I click on allow, I'm still allowing it to touch the kernel.
All right.
If I'm a user and it's installed by the administrator, it's allowed to touch the kernel as well. So it doesn't really limit you on access to the kernel or anything, but it's like a best practice in security to have a user run as standard user.
Yeah,
and then you don't get the allow button, right? Yeah. So then you have to name and password. That's what you get asked for in order to actually take those rights and elevate them. So a standard user cannot elevate.
No, but I think you were asking it from an administrative point of view.
Yeah.
And if you look at it from a local administrative point of view, in the past, always the best practice was, for instance, on NT4, you had your normal user account for doing your daily work, and you used an administrator account if you had to log on to a server or do some administrative tasks. Of course, everyone said, I know that's best practice, but people tend to do like, well, I do it the easy way. I always use my administrator account so I can do everything.
Right.
And someone sends you an email and you click on an attachment, but because you're an enterprise administrator or a local administrator, your machine is infected or your enterprise is infected.
Right.
Well, nowadays, if people use the same idea, like say, I only want to use one account, and basically what we do is we strip down the rights, so it's basically a normal user account. So if you reach your email and there's a strange attachment, it cannot infect your system by default.
All right. So even though he's using administrator account, but he still having a certain level of protection.
Yeah, basically, if you're using protect administrator mode or user console, all your rights are stripped down to the level of a normal user. And it
Right.
goes even further with Internet Explorer because that's running in an even lower mode. Because if you now browse the internet, it's running in a mode that, I mean, if you are running as a normal user, a script could still or a virus could still have access to your documents, for instance,
All right.
and delete all your documents. But if you now browse the internet and you try to open, for instance, a Word document, it says, well, I need to elevate it to the normal user rights. It's because it's running in lower rights.
All right.
So Internet Explorer don't even have access to your own documents or your own music or whatsoever.
All right. Okay, but still, we have not seen that much deployment on Windows Vista, and still there are some issues. And we heard about Service Pack 1.
Yeah.
So would you highlight on that? What's in the Service Pack 1? And if you have, I mean, any idea about that? It's not. I mean.
Yeah, actually, there's a public white paper out now.
All right.
Talking about the new functionality in Service Pack 1.
All right.
I'm sure you can post the URL if
Sure.
we give it later to you.
Sure.
But the main purpose of Service Pack 1 is to work on reliability and stability issues, more application compatibility, some further support for hardware.
All right. So actually,
So no new features or not a big an impact as Windows XP Service Pack 2, for instance.
all right. So what the Service Pack is about? Just there are no. It's not covering the security things in the Service Pack 1 for Windows Vista.
Well, if some problems were found in that area, but
Right.
The updates that are available right now, security fixes will of course be included. Yeah.
All right. And okay. So you're working most of the time. As you said, you don't interact with the customer, but you must working in. Okay.
Well, now we do interact with customers, but we don't go.
Visit customers.
Yeah, we don't visit the customer. For instance, we have people in Microsoft that are doing sales or doing technical presentations and demos with customers.
All right.
So you have 15 architects from a specific customer, and they visit them to deliver them a session about a specific subject.
All right.
We say, well, we don't do that. We say we deliver a session on a specific subject,
Okay.
and all the techie guys from several customers are welcome to come.
All right. Okay. So, and do you also interact with the development team or Vista to forward them the issues happening with the customer?
Well, yes, absolutely. Because already as soon as Beta 1 was available, I installed it. And that's really the cool thing about working for Microsoft. Anyone can basically go out there and say like, hey, look, I have this problem, or the way I think this works is not that convenient for users, or I have this customer base that runs into this issue. And anyone basically can log that file. Can file it as a bug. It's not that it is a bug. Let's say that I think that it's not very handy if you double click on a TTF, a TrueType font, that you just open it up and see it.
All right.
That's not a bug. It's like a functionality that's like, for me, it's missing the install function. So I can report that, and you can see now in Windows Vista, you can right click and hit install.
All right.
So that's a direct result from the input we delivered through this.
It's fun. It's really cool and fun to see within our job role that we are one of the early implementers, even within Microsoft, and it's cool to see that things you see or do notice in the early stages actually went down in the final product. So there were several functionality issues Tony reported, and they
made it in the final product.
made it in the final product. So that's really
Right.
cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's really great.
The language setting is maybe a nice one, with the language. And
Yeah. So that's a good example. Yeah, one of the examples I have is like when you install Windows Vista, and then the first time it starts up, it will ask you like what time zone you're in.
All right.
So in the first beta I got where this question was asked, I said, oh, no, I'm not in the US, I'm in Amsterdam. So I changed my time zone to Amsterdam. I then log into Windows, and now my clock had moved 9 hours forward, and it's like, hey, that's weird. What made you think my clock was off?
All right.
And I filed a report on that, a bug, saying like, hey, if I change the time zone, don't assume that my clock has to change as well. And then in later builds, they said, so in first they said like, okay, you can just change your clock then. But in later builds, more and more people were just asking for this, like, I don't think that's such a good, thought.
Right.
And now they added a clock. So if you change the time zone, you also can see the clock there and you can see in the same screen is the clocks there. So we joke about it, say that's Tony's clock.
That's Tony's
Alright.
because it wasn't there in Windows XP when you did the installation.
It's not there in the earlier Vista build. It wasn't
Yes,
there.
right, and they have also given the multiple clock option, which I really like myself. It's cool feature, man. I mean, you can 3 and 4.
Right now I have 3 clocks. On if I hit on the clock, I have the Amsterdam time, Seattle, and of course
And the other one I
Malaysia.
really like that you also found was when you choose the regional settings, you know, during your setup. For instance, we choose, well, we're living in the Netherlands.
All right.
And then you had 2 options for your regional settings, like the normal Dutch or the Frisian. That's like a dialect.
All right.
But in Windows XP, for instance, you choose like, I'm living in Malaysia, but the regional settings stay on US. And we're like, no, why don't you put it on Malaysian settings? So they did it in beta 1 or between beta 1 and 2. So they changed it, say, no, okay, then we changed it to the language codes we have.
Okay.
But they did it first on an alphabetical order. So Frisian came before Dutch. Came first. And we're like, no. Only 5% of the Dutch population uses that.
0.02. I did the calculation on that to report it. I said like, look, we have like 0.2% after the comma. Only like, it's such a very small percentage that will actually be saying, hey, I need Frisian.
All right.
So for the other 15 million people, you might want to set the other one instead.
But of course, that delivered them for a lot of extra work because basically what
every country has it.
Every country has
What
that.
is the most commonly used in every country?
So the programmers, so when we first filed that, the program said, oh, that makes sense. You know, if you change a regional country, regional settings to a specific country, I'm going to use the country settings for that country.
Okay.
But they did it, of course, alphabetically because that's the easy way to program it. And then, of course, when we said, no, it doesn't make sense. You need to know what the majority of that country uses. And then they have to find it out for all the countries.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean,
they were really happy
with that one.
That's too alphabetical. Just put US.
All right.
So, but it turned out well.
All right. So, are we going to see any more service pack releases for Windows Vista in the future?
Well, Windows in general is work in progress. So we will continue to work on the product, and as there is so much more, there's so much more functionality in there now that provides us with feedback if you opt in for that. So for instance, like in XP, you have the send error report button if something happens.
Right.
Now there was never a way to get back to you if you found a solution for your problem. This is now in Windows Vista. In the control panel, you have the problems and solutions applet.
Really?
It will capture every problem you have, and you can just say like, okay, report all my problems to Microsoft and see if there are updates available.
Oh, it will notify the problem is solved?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So you have this problem. You had this problem like half a year ago, or you have this problem just like 10 minutes ago. It doesn't matter. You report all your problems, and every time you report the problem, it goes through the whole list and goes back to Microsoft. Say like, hey, I had this problem like half a year ago. Is there a solution for this now?
Okay.
And if we even know like the link from the third-party vendor that caused it, and they have an updated version now, we will point you to that direction.
So for instance, if you had problems with a graphical driver, we had in the beta versions, of course. Then so we had a problem. I went to the problem report, and when the driver of that graphical company was ready, we started coming up in our report saying, you know what, now this driver is available. Do you want to download it? Here's the link. And then we're like, that's cool. It's not only like on Microsoft, it's also on the external hardware that's in it.
And the other thing is really around reliability. We heard, of course, a lot about the reports in XP that people tend to think or believe that at some point, or actually it was true in some cases, that their machines slowed down after a couple of months working with the product.
Right.
And so in Windows Vista, there's a whole new management and reporting engine at the heart. And it's looking at whenever you start up the machine, what is loaded, what time it takes to load this, is this a degradation, yes or no? And all this information is, once again, opt-in. It's not sent out by default, but if you say like, yes, I want to improve the customer experience with my help Microsoft, then this is going to be sent to Microsoft as well. So already now we are taking this data and incorporating this in Service Pack 1 to see like, okay, we definitely see this and this and this applications are slowing down for this and this reason, and how can we fix that?
All right. Do you have any idea about Ready Boost Drive?
Sorry?
Ready Boost Drive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it work actually? I like this feature. Even if I cannot upgrade the memory, I just put the ready boost enable USB and there you go. I mean, it boosts the performance.
Well, the thing is to first of all to understand is that ready boost as a feature is more than just a USB stick, but in general it does not expand your RAM.
All right then.
So the way it works here is like this. Okay, let's say I have a machine that has 512 megs of RAM.
All right.
Which is very low, you know. So you start up some applications and really soon you're out of memory.
Yeah.
So what happens? We're going to swap to disk. You're going to take memory you're not using, put it on disk, and you take memory that you need,
right.
take it back from disk again. Now we all know that disks have a really good throughput if you can do one big read.
All right.
But if you take memory pages, small little files that are like multiple reads, probably scattered over the disk, and then your seek time will degrade the throughput immediately.
Okay.
So the whole idea behind ReadyBoost is like, why don't we take those memory pages and we put them in one big file on a memory stick?
All right.
Now the throughput from a memory stick is way better than a hard drive when it comes to this loading many little pages.
Okay.
And you don't have the seek time. It's just like it's solid state, so it doesn't have any moving parts. So
right.
that's why you see a performance increase there when we're reading back applications. So the other thing ReadyBoost basically is that already now in XP we can see what application you use the most, because those are the ones that are on your start menu on the left when you click on start, right? So what we're doing in Windows Vista, and this is also something that people might want to think about it when they look at the memory usage of Windows Vista, is as soon as Windows Vista is started, in the background it's loading those applications you use the most. So it's already in the background loading the memory pages for Outlook. Because we all know that in XP, if you start up your Outlook, it takes a while.
Right.
You close it and you click it again. It's like really fast.
Yeah.
Because all the pages are in memory.
Yep.
And this is ReadyBoost as well. So in the back, we are already taking these applications and load them into data. So we're loading Word, we're loading Excel, we're loading PowerPoint if that's what you use the most.
Yeah, or
but
let's say you're using the most of that application.
Yeah. But let's say at that point you say like, I'm not going to start any of the application. I'm going to start my CAD/CAM application.
Right.
No problem. We just discharge the memory and we just take the CAD/CAM application from the disk
So
and load it.
this will be working as long as I'm using the ReadyBoost.
Yes. The memory pages loading into memory as soon as Windows Vista starts is working anyway. Doesn't really.
So it's a default feature of Windows Vista.
Yeah.
It will be loading application in the background, the most commonly used application.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
This is also why, you know, if you look at the memory usage of Vista, people go like, my God, I started up Vista, look at how many memory it takes. It's already taking 1.2 gigabytes.
Yeah,
you know, if you have that amount of memory, we'll fill it up.
Yep. So is there any way I can disable this feature, or it is by default hard-coded?
I never looked at it. I don't think the team would think about getting that, even give you the option to disable it, because it's no big deal, it's no problem.
Yeah, memories are cheaper now. I mean, it's not.
And the other thing is that it's not taking up any resources that you need, right? As soon as you start another application, we just discharge what we loaded into the memory.
Okay, all right.
So it's not.
So memory management is quite, you can say,
that's a
improved.
Huge change in Vista. Huge, really huge change. Yeah.
All right. So now I don't have any more questions now.
All right.
All right. And